Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to read another fanfic found on our forum for The Freak Circus and Kingdom of Marionettes by Bag of Nicks. Unexpected Pantomimes of your entertainment. Summary. You had to move sooner than expected. Well, you missed the cafe you worked at, the friends you made, and the circus performers that made your heart sing. Your family needed you. Or so you thought. Now in debt and work and job, you had the experience to believe. You had a lot on your mind. There also happens to be two jesters with you on theirs. Your noble court jester has been able to visit you for the past week without interruption. But when previous actors return to the stage, there's bound to be chaos. Chapter 1. The City Awaits. Reader point of view. Your alarm went off at 2 in the afternoon. It was an odd time for most, but when you work the night shift, it's standard. After starting your job at the theater, you notice how much your sleep has improved. You didn't even need to chug caffeine as soon as you woke up. It felt like bliss. Speak of bliss, you unlocked your phone and checked your bank account. As expected, your first paycheck hit. But it was bigger than you expected. You checked your email to see your pay stub. Were the taxes not properly taken? Was there an accident? After not so tired eyes gave everything a good look, nothing was wrong. That is until you noticed the hourly wait. It was higher than what you and your boss agreed upon. Your investigation didn't take long, as the next unread email was from your boss. You're doing a lot better than expected. 3 whole weeks with no incidents is a new record for this place. Decide to bump your pay by 10%. Keep up the good work, newbie. A 10% raise? That made you nearly jump out of your bed and into a happy dance. No one has ever given you that much of a raise that fast. No matter how strange, you're not complaining. Money is money. You decide to add half of the raise to your loan payment for your pay period. The faster you can pay off, the better. The interest was almost as brutal as the constant calls from your loan sharks. Thankfully, the loan sharks in question didn't leave you any voicemails today. But there were still voicemails, a lot of them. The first was from your cousin. Ew, I don't know what the frick you were thinking, but I will kick your butt, you hear me? I can't treat family like some criminal scum. Drop the frickin' charges, or I swear to God He deleted the message before you could finish. You had no idea what they were talking about. You told everyone that you wouldn't press charges. You would never hurt your family. You figured you knew what all their voicemails were about. You deleted them in about 7 text messages changed without the second glance. No way they were going to ruin your day. You sighed as you rolled out of bed. The weather was supposed to be great today, so why not take a bus trip into the city? It would be good for you. And a subtle nod to the home you somewhat regret leaving behind. You got dressed, packed a go bag, and head off to the bus stop, surprised to see one pulling up as you walked to it. The bus ride was peaceful. Your stop happened to be the last one, so you spent the ride looking out the window and listening to your playlist with one earbud in. Their riders kept to themselves more than the people in your old city could ever. And you were grateful after all the fights you witnessed there. Last stop, Central Plaza. You heard the bus announce. You stood up and held the bar as you walked to the back exit. Thank the bus driver as you got off. Not 5 steps into the new city, you felt a familiar vibration in your upper arm. Swiftly checking your phone, you saw your glucose 67. There was a bench nearby, so he pumped down and ate some of your emergency candy. No way you were going to have issues this far from home. The large fountain you sat near was pretty. You admired the details as your blood sugars rose to acceptable levels. After 15 minutes, you were on the move again. You spent your afternoon and early evening in the Central District. There was a lot of shops, restaurants, and cafes. They could spend all your money at. Sometimes there was a street performer you had to dodge, but at least some of their hats and buckets were full. The sights and sounds of the city brought you joy, no matter how bad some of the smells were. You kept your head down to avoid unwanted tension. But maybe you'll feel safer here in time. After a few hours of more walking than you thought you could ever do again, this little hole in the wall burger joint. Those places where either the best spots of all time or were bound to give you food poisoning. You have to take a risk. A sweet older woman welcomed you in. The place was dead, and she was the only waitress. It didn't take long for your order to be placed in a strawberry milkshake with chocolate sauce, whipped cream, and cherry to be brought over for old time's sake. You new around here, hon? The waitress asked. Moved to the boroughs nearby about a month ago, you admitted. This is the first time actually walking around the city. I knew you looked new. Welcome, hon. How you enjoying it? Any adventures today? Just walking through the Central District and made my way here. Nothing fancy. No, need some recommendations? There's a lot to see outside the Central District. Nancy, the waitress, was correct. She had so many recommendations. She gave you names of some of her favorite places to visit, some based on hobbies and interests you told her, and names of places most locals didn't even know about. You two chatted until she heard the ding of the bell and the sound of your incoming meal. You opened your lock screen and grabbed the insulin pen from your bag. You gave yourself the proper dose before she returned of the most delicious smelling burger you ever smelled. Holy crap! This smells so good. Thank you so much, Nancy. Of course, hon. Hope you enjoy. She walked off and grabbed some cleaning supplies while you started to eat. The milkshake had melted quite a bit. You were so engrossed in the conversation earlier that you forgot all about it. You dipped a fry into the whipped cream. You could tell the stuff was made in-house. Nancy came back to check on you a few minutes later. Is it good as it smells? Nancy inquired. Even better, you beamed. I don't know what the cook put in this thing, but it got to be one of the best burgers I've ever had. Nancy let out a warm chuckle. Well, I'm glad. Say, you live in the suburbs, right? My bird from another mother lives down there. Mind telling me what part? You told her about the apartment complex you lived in, and, well, not the best place you lived in. The rent was cheap, and the move-in timeline was exactly what you needed. Her best friend Mark lived in the complex as well. You two exchanged numbers before he paid and headed off, completely unaware of the shadow that now followed you. Chapter 2. Reunion. Pyrot's point of view. Jester, Harley Quinn, and Pyrot took the first 2 days to roam the city. Jester practically had their clowns on leashes. Pratt for developing a crush on a human 2 cities ago that ejected him. and Harley Quinn for getting them discovered within a week in the most recent city, after having too much fun with the residing humans. Unfortunately, for everyone involved, 3 is safer than 1. Parrot had been perfectly in character since she moved away, remained silent in public, and acted only in the circus' best interest. Ticket taker requested notes for Pirate about this new city, which he accepted in stride. The notepad was about a quarter filled with important information and curiosities. The start of their current excursion went well. The humans knew not to approach strangers with odd questions. They never bat an eye when 3 tall individuals hidden in bulky clothing and face mask walking past them. By mid-afternoon, the monsters sat in the alley, eating meat skewers they brought along with them. They discussed all the places that they could hide. Some kind of individuals could be gifted pink tickets. What kind of individuals could be gifted pink tickets? And the best locations for flyers. Pirate was engrossed in conversation with Harley Quinn. Pirate was engrossed in conversation, while Harley Quinn was more than obviously bored. Are you even paying attention, Harley Quinn? Jester tried. Shade. Of course, Jester. I know who to stay away from, and where to hand out flyers. He waved a meat skewer around in dramatic fashion. But can't we have a conversation that's a bit more fun? There will be plenty of time for fun while we're here. For now, we need to focus. Did you already forget why we left the last city so soon? What, bring that up again, Jester? The Green Clown mused. I had everything under control. You just needed to trust. I will trust you when you get results, Jester remarked, his words having a stronger bite than intended. Speaking of results, Pirate. Pirate looked up from his notes after trying to tune out his rival's childish remarks. Yes, Jester? You have done well these last few days. I appreciate all your hard work and dedication. It has been difficult for you, hasn't it? Pirate didn't want to think about it, the love who had moved far away, nor the argument that he starred because of it. He had told Jester that you rejected him, but was too ashamed to tell him the full story. Harley Quinn told Jester about your move. Pirate wasn't stupid. He knew he wasn't the only trope member to sneak into your home uninvited. Fortunately, Jester did not ask for any further details. He was constantly aware of how much you knew about them. It was the only thing that kept you alive because you served your ties with the circus. Any more time spent on the recent past would break him. So instead of using words to answer Jester's questions, Pirate simply nodded. Even with life challenges, he stays tall. You make us proud, Pirate. Pirate's brush could be seen over his face mask. Harley Quinn rolled his eyes at the praise. The others ignored Harley Quinn's displeasure. That's why I'm allowing you time to explore the central district on your own. If you can get more details on top flyer locations, it'll be appreciated. Pirate nodded in excitement. Sometime outside the circus sounded wonderful. He loved his home, but it was stifling with all the weight on his heart and mind. Harley couldn't test in annoyance. Isn't Pirate in just as much trouble as I am? He doesn't deserve special. Jester looked passively, tiredly at the youngest annex. It wasn't even sundown. Pirate behaves. You do not. Focus on your job, not the mice you wish to devour. Maybe then I'll loosen your rings. Harlequin sighed before continuing to eat. Pirate, you have from now until sunset to explore. Take as many notes as required and meet us back at the fountain. Pirate stood up and bowed to Jester before darting off. He could barely contain his excitement. Finding all the previously discovered sites was a challenge. He made sure to stay at each flyer location for at least 10 minutes before moving along to the next. With all the notes he was taking, Pirate would need a new notepad by the end of the day. He finally finished his assigned task at what seemed like an hour or so before sunset. That meant he could actually explore a little. He heard some of the city folk talk about a cafe that they enjoyed that sold freshly baked bread. It was likely to be closed at this hour. Pirate figured he would get the name and hours of the place so he could visit in their time. As predicted, the cafe was closed. He pulled his pad from his jacket pocket and scribbled the name, street, and hours. Looking at the sun, he guessed he had enough time to walk a bit further before returning to the agreed-upon meet-up fountain. The street he was on had a lot of dining establishments, so why not make it list for himself? It took about 2 minutes of walking before he heard a familiar voice from a nearby burger place. Proud's already fragile heart nearly stopped. It can't be, he thought before sinking towards the window panel. He got as close as he could without garnering attention. He recognized the bag, remembered company at one point. There were no doubts in his mind. Pirate saw you. His dear, his beloved. His everything. Your voice was like a melody to them. How he yearned to hear it again. It took all his will to stop himself from entering the place and swooping you off your feet in a tiny embrace he could give. But no, the fewer glances he gave you, the fewer thoughts he needed to hide, the fewer indecent thoughts he had, the less suspicious he would be to others. With how he was behaving, he would even find a way to leave the circus for a bit. If only I knew where you live, my dear. Then I could bring you back to the circus, back to me. I could show you how. Say, you live in the suburbs, right? My brother from their mother was down there. Mind tell me what part? His ears perked at the conversation you were having with the waitress. She seems to have an idea about where you moved to. This day was getting better and better. Really? I live in the complex. It's not pretty. It's not perfect, but I got in quick. His face brightened as he darted into the shadows. Not only did he find you here, he could see you again, if he could. He could visit tonight. You spent too much time listening to your conversation. Being caught up working by one of the locals would be a much better fate than what Jester would have in store for him. Pratt had to hide in the dark for now. As he walked to the fountain, Pratt let his mind wander. My love, oh, I missed you so. There's so much I need to catch up on. I can't wait to hear all about your move, how your family is doing. How are you doing? There isn't so much I need to do as well. There's still so much I need to do as well. So much to make up for. Pirate paused in his inner monologue there. Now that he had a rough idea where he lived, and enough resources to turn the idea into an address, he could give you a proper visit. Just like before, He pulled his face mask a bit higher up to hide his intentions. No way was he going to let Jester or Harry Quinn on his little secret, and Ralphie now, nothing was going to take you away from him, not again. And that was Unexpected Pantomimes for your entertainment so far. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. If you haven't already, comment down below and like the video. Please give the offer some love. Link in the description and in the pinned comments. I'll see you guys next time.